Hey everyone, so here it is, the iPhone 12 mini. My blue one to be exact. And you know, it's 2025 and I still find myself picking this thing up all the time. There's just something about it. But that something gets complicated when you think about using it as your main phone today. Is it still worth it? Should you buy one, keep the one you have, or is it finally time to upgrade? That's what we're going to figure out. So in this video, we're going to cover everything. We'll start with a quick look back at why this phone was so special when it came out. Then we'll talk into the design and that beautiful little screen. We'll talk performance, and I've got some numbers to share, especially on the latest iOS 26 public beta which I'm running. Of course, we have to talk about the big one, battery life. I'll be honest about my experience with its 86% battery health. We'll look at the cameras and then we'll tackle the whole Apple Intelligence situation and why it's maybe not the deal breaker you think it is. We'll cover the downsides you really need to consider, and then I'll give you my final verdict for anyone thinking of buying, keeping, or upgrading from this little guy. Let's get into it. Alright, so let's rewind to 2020. The phone world was all about bigger is better. We had the Ultras, the Maxes, and then Apple did something different. They gave us this, the iPhone 12 mini. And what was so special, you know, was that it wasn't a light version. It wasn't the budget phone. That was the iPhone SE's job. This was a true, no compromise flagship. It had the same powerful A14 Bionic chip as the giant 12 Pro Max, the same main cameras as the regular iPhone 12, the same premium flat edge design, and the same beautiful OLED screen. It was, for the first time, a top-tier iPhone for people who just didn't want a massive phone. It was a dream come true for small phone lovers. But here's the twist. It didn't sell all that well. It was actually considered a sales flop, only making up about 5% of iPhone 12 sales in early 2021. And that's fascinating because it created this cult classic, a phone that a small but very passionate group of people absolutely adored. And that's why we're still talking about it today. Okay, let's talk about the feel of this phone in 2025. Honestly, it's incredible. This flat edge design, which Apple brought back from the iPhone 5 era, just works so well on a small device. It's super grippy, and the size, I mean, you can wrap your whole hand around it. Using it one-handed is just a joy. Typing, scrolling, it's effortless in a way that you just forget is possible with modern phones. It's so light, just 135 grams. You barely feel it in your pocket. It's the definition of pocketability. The build quality is also top-notch, aerospace-grade aluminum, glass back. It feels just as premium as the bigger, more expensive phones from its year. And the screen itself, this 5.4-inch Super Retina XDR display, is still gorgeous. It's an OLED, so you get those perfect deep blacks and vibrant colors. It's incredibly sharp with a pixel density of 476 ppi, which is actually higher than a lot of the bigger iPhones. Watching HDR content on this is still a great experience. But it's not perfect. You've got the 60 Hz refresh rate. In 2025, when even budget phones have higher refresh rates, this is probably the most dated part of the experience. Scrolling isn't as buttery smooth as on a Pro model. And then there's the notch. It's the same size as the one on the bigger iPhone 12, so on this smaller screen it feels a bit more intrusive, especially when you're watching videos. One thing that has aged incredibly well though is the durability. This was one of the first phones with Apple's ceramic shield on the front, and they claimed it had 4 times better drop performance. And honestly, it holds up. Drop tests from back in the day showed the screen was incredibly tough to crack, even if the aluminum frame would dent and the back glass could break. So for front-on drops, it's a surprisingly tough little phone. Okay, now performance. This is where things get really impressive. The 12 mini is rocking the A14 Bionic chip. This was a beast in 2020, and in 2025, it's still, incredibly capable. For day-to-day stuff, messaging, browsing, social media, even some light gaming, it feels perfectly fast. There's no major lag or stutter in normal use. I ran Geekbench 6 on my unit, and the scores are right there with the averages. 2053 for single core and 4420 for multi-core. To put that in perspective, that's still competitive with some much newer mid-range phones and shows just how well Apple's chips hold up over time. But the real story here is the software. I'm running the latest iOS 26 public beta on this thing, and that in itself is amazing. We're talking about a phone that's getting major OS updates 5 years after launch. And my experience has been surprisingly great. Apple seems to have ironed out a lot of the initial bugs, Animations in the notification center are smoother, and the whole system just feels refined. Alright, let's talk about this one. The Achilles heel of the iPhone 12 mini, the battery. There's no sugarcoating it. This has always been its biggest weakness. It has a tiny 2227 mAh battery. For comparison, the regular iPhone 12 from the same year had a bigger 2815 mAh battery, and modern phones are often double this size. My unit is at 86% battery health, which Apple considers normal for its age. So what does that actually mean for a day's use? Well, it completely depends on who you are. For a light user, if you're someone who just checks messages, makes a few calls, and scrolls a bit, you can probably make it through a full day. Just about. For a moderate user like me, if you're on social media, listening to music, maybe watching a bit of YouTube, and some gaming, you will need to charge this phone by the early evening. It's not an all-day phone. And for a heavy user, if you're gaming, using navigation, or shooting a lot of 4K video, forget about it. You will be looking for a charger by midday. You'll need a power bank or to be near an outlet. It's just the reality of a small battery that has degraded over time. Okay, onto the cameras. And again, for a phone from 2020, they're surprisingly good. You get a dual 12 megapixel system, a main wide lens, and an ultra wide in good daylight. The photos are sharp, vibrant, and have that classic reliable iPhone look. The main lens has a f1.6 aperture, which was a big deal at the time for letting in more light, and features like night mode and deep fusion are on all the camera lenses, which was a major step up. Video is also a strong point. It can shoot in 4K up to 60 FPS, and it was one of the first phones to record in Dolby Vision HDR, which still looks fantastic. For casual video, it's more than enough for most people, but when you put it up against a modern phone like the new iPhone 16, you see the compromises. The iPhone 16 has a massive 48 megapixel main sensor, so the level of detail is just on another level. You don't have a telephoto lens on the 12 mini, so all your zoom is digital and gets soft pretty fast. There's no macro mode for those super close-up shots. And while night mode is good, newer phones are much better and faster in low light. The selfies are decent, but newer phones have autofocus on the front camera, which makes a difference. It's a very capable camera, but it's clearly a few generations behind. Now let's talk about the biggest software feature you don't get, Apple Intelligence. The iPhone 12 mini will get iOS 26, but it will not get any of the new AI features like the new Siri, writing tools, or image playground. The reason is purely hardware. Apple Intelligence requires at least 8 GB of RAM, and the 12 mini only has 4 GB. And honestly, for me, this is not a deal breaker. Here's why. Apple Intelligence, by now is still on early beta. And for years, I've been using third-party AI tools that are in many ways more powerful and mature. I usually use alternatives that are more powerful like Gemini or ChatGPT. They are fantastic for writing help, brainstorming, and answering complex questions. Gemini is incredible at integrating with Google Apps, and ChatGPT has a huge ecosystem of plugins. So while having AI built in is cool, the alternatives are so good that I don't feel like I'm missing out on the core functionality. It's a nice to have, not a need to have for me right now. So if you're seriously thinking about this phone in 2025, here's a quick reality check. A few things you absolutely need to be okay with. First, the battery. You have to be a light user or be committed to carrying a power bank. There's no way around it. Second, the screen size. It's great for one-handed use, but it can feel cramped for watching lots of movies, playing intense games, or working on documents. The keyboard is also quite small, which can be tough if you have larger hands. Third, that 60Hz display. If you're coming from a phone with a 90Hz or 120Hz screen, you will notice the difference. It's just not as smooth. And finally, storage. The base model is 64 GB. In 2025, with bigger apps and photos, that is not enough. If you buy one, I'd strongly recommend looking for a 128 GB or 256 GB model. Okay, so let's bring it all together. The iPhone 12 mini in 2025. Is it still worth it? The answer is a very firm, it depends on who you are. For the new buyer on a budget, if you're looking for the cheapest entry into the modern iPhone ecosystem and you absolutely love small phones, this is a fantastic deal. You can find them for under $200. For that price, you're getting a phone with a premium feel, a great screen, and performance that will last you another couple of years. But you must be okay with the battery life. If you are, it's a great buy. For the current 12 mini owner, if you're using a 12 mini right now and you still love the size, but the battery is driving you crazy, just get the battery replaced. For under $100, you can make this phone feel almost new again and easily get another year or two out of it. Unless you're desperate for a better camera or Apple Intelligence, there's no urgent reason to upgrade. For the person considering an upgrade, if you're a current 12 mini user and you're a heavy user, a content creator, or someone who really wants the latest AI features, then yes, it's probably time to upgrade. The battery life alone on a newer model like the iPhone 13 mini or any of the larger standard iPhones will be a massive quality of life improvement, and the camera and display tech on something like an iPhone 16 is a huge leap forward. Ultimately, the iPhone 12 mini has found its true identity in 2025. It's not the mainstream flagship it tried to be, it's the perfect phone for the digital minimalist, the person who wants a tool, not a time sink. Or it's one of the best secondary phones you can buy, something small and light for the gym, a weekend away, or when you just want to disconnect a bit. It's a special device, a reminder that sometimes less really is more. But that's just my take. After living with this phone, I'm really curious to hear from you guys. Are you still rocking an iPhone 12 mini in 2025? Are you thinking of getting one? What's your battery health at? Let me know all of it down in the comments below. If you found this video helpful, a like would be amazing. It really helps the channel out. And consider subscribing for more deep dive reviews like this one. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.